Welcome to the Tiny House Ideas podcast. Welcome to episode 9 of the Tiny House Ideas podcast. Today I'm joined by Minimaliste Tiny Houses in Quebec, and we're going to be talking about how he got into the industry of tiny houses, his insights, his tips and tricks that he's learned on the job, and also talking about any requests that he's received from customers, some of his favourite projects, and also we'll be discussing how his clients have acclimatised to living tiny and anything that you can expect if you're looking to live tiny in the near future. So keep listening to hear more about JP, about Minimaliste Tiny Houses in Quebec, and enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Tiny House Ideas podcast, the show where we talk about how to live a more fulfilling life with less. My name's Harry Alvarez Garman, and I've got tons of exciting guests lined up for you, including authors, entrepreneurs, and tiny house owners. If you love minimalism, sustainable living, personal development, and everything in between, then you're in the right place. On this show, we'll be talking about how you can do more of what you love, how to turn your passion into a career, and how to live more sustainably.
My name is JP Marquis. I'm co-founder of Minimaliste Tiny Houses. I joined the adventure in 2015 when the founder, Phil, created this project. He was a friend of mine, so I helped him building the prototype. And then when we came up with the first order, I kind of stepped in. In terms of background, I've been in the military for 10 years full-time before joining this the company. What happens is I wanted to have a challenge that in which I could put myself into and not to accomplish somebody else's dream. So yeah, I needed to have something that I could put myself into. So I went back to studying carpentry, and then as soon as I came out of school, this project was it was talking to me. So I wanted to be a part of it. And I thought I could be really helpful, and I could bring something not only to this company, but the whole tiny house industry. So I was really excited about all of that. So, and I'm still as passionate today as I was in the beginning, actually.
Earlier on, you mentioned briefly your team as well. Would you mind just giving me a brief rundown on sort of who you have working with you, builders, design, anything like that? Yes.
Yeah, sure. Like I was talking about Phil earlier. Unfortunately, last spring, Phil, he left for his own project, probably woodworking or something related to traveling and video and stuff like that. So now it's just me and Elise, but we're quite motivated. So me and Elise are running the business together. But we're, like I said, if it's not for the carpenters, we're not creating anything. So the whole team, we're 9 people right now. And and we work with contractors for electricity, plumbing, and propane. So we leave it up to the specialists to do the parts where we think it's important for in terms of security. Even though we're not required to do that, I think it's the right way the right path to follow. So the whole dynamic inside the shop, like I said, we're a big family. So it's a really open table. If there's anything, I mean, it's different than a typical work site, because I've been working on different work sites before, and I was doing some home renovation as well, part-time. So I know how it's like on work sites, and that when you know how it is on work sites, you know exactly what type of mood or you don't want to create inside your shop. So we have the availability right now as a company to create whatever mood we want inside the shop. So the dynamic is great. The whole team is really motivated because they take pride into what they do. They do projects from A to Z. And they have projects that are going to be delivered like 5,000 kilometers away. So it's really thrilling, and it's really, I think for them, like I said, they take great pride in that, and we make it so they know exactly what our mission or vision is, so that way they can share that and be part of the whole thing that we're creating. So we want to push that as far as we can go, and we want everybody to jump in the bandwagon and be a part of that.
Brilliant. Oh, it sounds like such a great, really nice community, nice family that you guys have got going on there. So that's amazing. And you mentioned sort of how the carpenters especially sort of take the project from A to Z. What would like a typical project look like from the initial client coming to you and sort of asking about it to the delivery? What would the sort of timeline and things like that? How would that look?
Yeah, that's a nice question. And actually, there's different because I'm not going to say this is exactly how it works, because some clients, they come to us and they don't know anything. They don't know what they want. They expect us to tell us that's exactly what you want based on their needs. And other people, Other people, they've been working on their floor plan for like 4 years and watching all of our videos, and they come up with like 20 pages of a document of 20 pages. So it's like, okay, you sure know what you want. So that makes it so the process is a little faster. But then I'm going to go ahead and just describe the whole a typical process. Like everything comes from our website pretty much, because that's where it all starts. So we have the people that contacts us. So we normally, they know, they have a budget, they're interested, they know the size of the home, and sometimes they're interested into 2 or 3 models. But then we kind of narrow based on their needs and the questions we ask in the initial phone calls that we have. So we narrow it to a size of home and some specifications, because there's different ways of creating a layout. But then if you want a main floor bedroom, then of course the size will be bigger, and then we'll need to work around that big thing that sits and requires a lot of space. But then if you're open to living in a loft, then that's different. But then we kind of narrow their choices and everything to either modifying a design we've already created, or going from scratch and going the custom route. So the custom route is a really separate process, because at some point when we draw the house and everything, we come up with a quote, and somebody might say, well, I'm just going to put that on hold and come back in 2 years. But then he still has his floor plan. So that's the custom design. And then if you're modifying an existing design, then we could we provide a quote based on what you want. And we know how much time is going to require to make these modifications to the original drawings. And then after that, we secure their place on the construction calendar with a deposit. And then when the time comes, we order the trailer, and then we start the house. And the construction will take between 4 to 6 weeks. But then if we overlap project, like let's say the whole project is going to take 4 weeks of let's say hammering and then cutting and all that, but then the whole process will be spread around 2 months, so that way we have plenty of time to test the equipment and make the videos and the pictures, because we like to do that. We think it's important, even though it's custom projects. We want to present people with ideas that other clients had, so they can inspire and put some of these ideas into their concept. And then we didn't realize that with the first design, because it was like, okay, this design, so we had 4 and 5, and then after that, what happened is somebody wanted a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and combining it together. So then all these branches starting to spread. So nowadays, like the clients really help us to offer different options, because we needed to dig deeper and to come up with new ideas. But then once the idea is installed in one house, then somebody can say, well, I want some of that in my house too. Exactly. So then, like I said, the clients help us build pretty much who we are as a company. And I think the family thing behind that is like everybody's involved into our progress, like the employees and also the clients ultimately.
So another thing that I was sort of going to ask about the build process, this is sort of going back to when we were speaking about how some customers will ask for a downstairs bedroom, some have asked for a loft bedroom. What would you sort of say, how many more people go for a loft than a downstairs bedroom? Is there sort of like a percentage, would you say, of who chooses what?
I think it would be more of a profile than a percentage, because when we released the first house we had with the main floor bedroom, of course, the clientele that came to us, it was more like aging people. Of course, not aging like they're not 90, but then there are people that are retiring or they're planning to retire, and that's going to be their last home. So of course, there was a lady, she's like, well, I'm going to be fine with the loft and that. Yeah, well, you don't seem convinced at all. So exactly. Because if you think that you're going to be aging and you're going to like spend a lot of time and ultimately finish your days in the tiny house, then the main floor bedroom, I think, is the key, because you never know what's going to happen. And then climbing upstairs or ladders, that's fine when you're at certain age, but then at some point, it's fun as an experience for a weekend to climb up a ladder and you go to a loft. But when you think you're going to be full-time living each night, if you have to pee when you're sleeping, then you need to get up and go through a ladder. And then if you're sick, you don't want to do that. And then, of course, like let's say you had a little party, that can also be dangerous to go down a ladder. So we're big fans of including stairs. And nowadays, it's been a while since we designed a tiny house with lofts that only has a ladder. So the main loft will be accessible through a storage staircase, and you don't sacrifice space when you're using a staircase the way we build them. Actually, you have more storage. So there's always a way to use that space, and then you have the comfort and the security that a staircase brings. And then if you have the ladder, we make it really comfortable, a little bit larger. We don't have a 90 degrees ladder. We always have like 20 degrees, so that way you can almost climb up like without using your hands. So that way it's really comfortable and it's safe. And normally it's going to be for guests or for storage, but then the main loft will be accessible with a storage staircase. And then if not, we're going to offer the main floor bedroom option. And it's kind of hard to make a more open concept with a main floor bedroom, because the way it's designed, you need to have that bedroom in the bottom and then sort of the bathroom in the middle. You can tweak the design a little bit, but then it's all a matter of what you're going to be doing with the house. If you're doing like part-time and it's going to be a place where you go in summer or on weekends, then I would prefer to have lofts and maximize the open space in between. But then if you're doing full-time living, even though I'm 32, I would still go with the main floor bedroom, because no matter what, I think it's a matter of comfort and personal choice ultimately. But then the comfort is there, and then also you can maximize storage in a main floor bedroom in a way that you can not do it in a loft bedroom as well. When it comes to storing your stuff, when you have a main floor bedroom, you can use the bed. You can have some closets on each side of the bed, and then some cabinets on top. You can pack a lot of storage in there.
Well, thank you very much for all of the sort of advice you've given throughout. We'll put pictures of the tiny houses that we've been talking about. All of the links to your social media, your website, and everything will all be in the description below. I just want to say a massive thank you for coming on the Tiny House Ideas podcast, for sharing your thoughts, sharing your business, your sort of background, and everything like that. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much.
As always, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Tiny House Ideas podcast. If you've got any questions, any suggestions, any questions for future episodes, any ideas, then please do get in touch. Instagram's the easiest way to reach me, at Tiny House Ideas. If you'd like to support the podcast, as I've mentioned, it's available on Patreon to support, and we've got a private Discord group there where we can have the discussion. We can really break down the podcast, talk about each episode, talk about upcoming episodes, and also watch all of the new releases early.